Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Or if you happen to be a new visitor here or a regular visitor who hasn't subscribed yet, please go ahead and click on that big red subscribe button to stay up to date with all of the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. Well, today our first episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 4 premiered, and it was quite a good episode. We had a bit of everything in this episode. We had a cool opening sequence with a bit of attempted integration of some races back into the Federation, which maybe didn't go quite as well as they would have hoped. We had some stuff with Saru on Kamina. We had a bit of a disaster movie kind of vibe with Burnham and the rest of the crew on Discovery. This anomaly is certainly causing havoc in the galaxy, and that's going to be a big one for them to solve. We had some quite heartfelt scenes which left a lump in the throat, and it appears most of our bridge crew have been given a promotion since we last saw them. Everybody's been bumped up a rank. So let's get into this week's review and breakdown of Star Trek Discovery Episode 1, Kobayashi Maru. So our opening sequence was really entertaining, I thought. It was kind of like the Discovery's out there in the galaxy. They're bringing dilithium back to everybody so they can rejoin the Federation. And you'd think everybody would want to kind of have some dilithium and they'd be jumping up and down with joy, like a game show host winning a new car. But that wasn't necessarily the case, because there's obviously a few little issues with lost in translation, where the butterfly people, maybe didn't kind of appreciate the fact that Burnham and Book have a pet cat. They kind of assumed that because they called her a queen that they had held some monarch hostage and took exception to that. So there was a kind of cool opening sequence in this episode where we got a bit of action, a bit of a chase sequence, and also quite a bit of humour of this sort of misinterpretation of intentions, where Burnham and Book just want to give these guys dilithium. They're suspicious. They're not really used to people doing good favours for them, so they took exception to almost everything. So that was kind of a exciting and funny opening to the new episode. We also saw a new addition to Book's ship on the escape sequence from the butterfly people. We learned that Book's ship's got kind of a little two-man fighter craft kind of thing, which sort of detaches and can fly and rejoin the ship, which was kind of cool to learn. We also learned that the name of the butterfly people were the Al-Shane. We also seem to have a new communications officer that works on the bridge of the Discovery, and his name is Lieutenant Christopher. So we also found out that Saru's been back on Kamina for quite some time, and he's been helping Sakal settle in, have a lot to do with the running of the government and being part of the decision-making process there, and that the planet has kind of unified. The Kelpians and the Baul aren't kind of separate and antagonistic races anymore. They're sort of working in harmony. It's a little bit more friendly than it was last time we saw them. They're not at odds anymore. They're working together as part of the running of the planet. We also got to find out that Starfleet Academy has been shut for over 100 years, and that it's now reopening and releasing new cadets out into the world to become part of Starship crews and everything. And we've got Burnham doing a big speech in front of cadets and everything. We've got the introduction of the new president, Lyra Relac. We also see Tribbles now roaming the halls of the Discovery, so clearly nobody's worried about them replicating and multiplying on board the ship for some reason. Based on Burnham's speech in front of all the new Academy graduates, it seems like they've been busy in the last few months since we saw them last season, and we've now got an extra kind of 21, 22 or so members joining the Federation, so the numbers are slowly growing with Federation worlds. I really enjoyed this scene with the various speeches being made by Burnham and also the President in front of the cadets here. There was some nice, rousing moments of optimism and hope and positivity. I think these rousing speeches, add a bit of that kind of sense of grandeur and wonder to Star Trek. So I always embrace them when they happen. One of my favourite moments in this episode was when President Rillick introduces to the cadets the new Archer space dock to construct new Starfleet vessels, and she gestures to it, and we hear the Archer's theme from Star Trek Enterprise, the one that generally played during the end credits of the show, not the whole, it's been a long road getting from here to there or whatever, but the one that plays at the end. That was a nice moment when she introduced it and we heard that Archer's theme swell. It was one of my favourite moments from this episode. And I'm fairly certain the ship docked within the new Archer space dock was the Voyager J. So not only do we get a little hark back to Enterprise with the space dock being named after Archer, but we get the Voyager J docked within it. We also learned that Bryce has been off consulting on the USS Curry, and that he's still there for another couple of days. So it looks like this new Lieutenant Christopher has been taking over his shift at communications. So it seems like, looking at most of our bridge crew, everybody's been bumped up a rank. So Tilly's now Lieutenant, Adira is Ensign, Detmer and Ooshikan and Bryce and Reese have all been bumped up from Lieutenant to Lieutenant Commander, but there doesn't seem to be a first officer just yet on Discovery. And it's not too long before we get into the meat of the story, which involves a space station that has been hurtled out of control by this anomaly that's passing through the galaxy, has kind of knocked it, and it's spinning wildly, and it's been very badly damaged. And it's the job of Tilly and Adira to beam aboard and to regain some sort of form of control as to what's going on here and establish what's caused this issue to occur. Next, we get a family moment scene. Book's gone off to Quajan to be involved in a coming-of-age ceremony, I guess you'd call it, with his nephew, talking about the earth and the trees and all that sort of stuff. It's one of those scenes that exists purely for us as the audience to feel something for the small child and Book's brother before, spoiler alert, the entire planet is destroyed at the end of the episode, so that when that actually happens, we feel something or feel a sense of loss. So it's sort of the only reason this scene exists in this episode, is just to give us a little bit of a heartfelt connection to the planet, so that it means a little bit more when it is in fact destroyed later on. We also found out that this egg that Adira happened to be carrying around in a lot of the promo photos that we talked about during the week is in fact a canister of programmable matter that they and Tilly are taking to the damaged space station to help get systems back online to repair it. So the whole rescue of this station sequence, I think, was quite exciting. We've got things blowing up left, right and centre. They're having to extend their shields around the station. Emergency escape ship trying to back and forth to doing runs to pick up people to get them off the station before it is totally destroyed. It was a good sequence, I thought. I thought it was engaging, it was exciting, it was fun, the fact that we had the station upside down, so everyone's kind of standing on the ceiling and it's all back to front. It was sort of a bit like your typical Hollywood disaster movie. We get a nice scene on Kaminar with Saru and Sukal, and obviously Saru is missing the crew of the Discovery and he's missing Michael, and he wants to get back, and Sukal saying, hey, now that we've got dilithium back again and I haven't blown up the galaxy, you can go off, do what you need to do, and come back and visit. It's cool, don't feel guilty. And to help save the crew of the station, we've got Burnham taking a page out of Kirk's old kind of command book. Was a bit of a control freak. He kind of had to do everything himself and be the star of the show, and we've got Burnham taking out the worker bee to dislodge a piece of wreckage that's blocking the escape ship from launching, so she's kind of got to remove that herself. She can't delegate, she has to do it all herself. So yeah, obviously Burnham is a very hands-on kind of captain. And Burnham's worker bee gets catastrophically destroyed in a sequence that plays out like a road accident commercial or something, where she's getting whiplash, she's getting thrown around, there's shrapnel and stuff flying through the air, her neck is kind of snapped from one direction to the other. It's sort of quite a brutal sequence. It's sort of like one of these road trauma commercials you tend to see to promote road safety. Meanwhile, we've got some big foreshadowing going on with Book investigating as to why suddenly a whole bunch of dead birds are falling from the sky. We've got them hitting the windshield of his ship. Something very big and bad is going down, and Book is about to discover that one of the planets in his system has just been hit by this massive gravitational anomaly, and his home planet is about to get destroyed. Back on the space station, Tilly and Adira and the space station's captain only just managed to escape before the whole thing gets destroyed by pieces of flying space debris. It's all a pretty bad situation. I enjoyed the scene between President Rillick and Burnham, where she's sort of got a bit of a dragging over the coals, for being a bit too gung-ho. Rillick acknowledges she's a good captain, but she's, a bit of a control freak as well, clearly, has to do everything her way, and can be a little bit reckless when it comes to always wanting to save everybody and putting the crew and everyone in danger, to essentially do the reverse of the whole Vulcan needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few. Well, Burnham's always going after the few at the expense of the many. So Rillick wasn't too kind of pleased about this. And I like her pendulum wrecking ball analogy, which is quite good in this scene. And here is also where we get the analogy to the Kobayashi Maru test, where, you know, you have to deal with the no-win situations. You know, so we can't always save everybody, and it's unrealistic to think that you're some kind of superhero that can save every single person every single time. It's just not realistic. And Rillick just wants Burnham to kind of acknowledge that, and Burnham says, "No, I want to save everybody all the time." So, yeah, it was interesting to kind of have that connection to the whole Kobayashi Maru test during this little conversation between these two. And we also find out that Rillick was kind of doing a little bit of a reconnaissance mission here, sussing out what Burnham is like as a captain. There's a new warp drive variant or something called the pathway drive, which it's a new piece of technology. It's sort of one of these new pieces of tech that's possibly going to replace warp drive and everything, so that reliance on dilithium isn't as great. It's going to be installed in the Voyager, and she's interviewing potential captains for this job, but she kind of doesn't think that Burnham is ready, and that Burnham's just a little bit too reckless, a little bit too gung-ho for her liking. All in all, I enjoyed this episode. I think we had some good humour and a bit of excitement at the start. We got the mystery, the danger of the anomaly situation hitting the ship and them trying to rescue the crew of the space station, which is all entertaining. We got a few heartfelt scenes with Saru and Su'Kal and everything back on Kaminar. I enjoyed this episode. I think it was good. I think it was a solid start to the new season, and it will be very interesting to see where it goes from here on out. Guys, let me know what your thoughts were in the comments section. Please, by all means, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought, and leave a super thanks if you're able to. Much appreciated. It certainly helps the channel out. And if you're able to, also check out my merch page, where you can, cool Star Trek t-shirts and hoodies, mugs, caps, you name it, it's all there. I'll see you very, very soon. In fact, probably tomorrow for my Prodigy review, because not often we have 2 Star Trek shows airing in one day. So I'll see you then. Catch you soon.